I want to get into yesterday. I finally got a chance to sit down and watch the Jussie Smollett documentary on Netflix. I got a chance to sit down, watch that. And I was watching it with my wife. I couldn't shut up. I couldn't shut up throughout the whole thing. And she was probably getting annoyed with me because I kept hitting the pause button and giving my little commentary. First of all, I'm gonna say off top, I really couldn't believe that Jussie Smollett was being interviewed in the thing, for one, and I couldn't believe that he still says he's innocent. So here's my thing. Before I get into why I don't believe Jussie Smollett and I think that he set the thing up, I'll get into why I think that in a minute. But let me go over. I'm just gonna play. Let me play the trailer. I just want to go through a little bit of the trailer, and I don't know if YouTube is gonna strike me for this, but whatever. So let me just share a little bit of the trailer real quick. If you haven't seen the Jussie Smollett documentary, you should. I'd love to see what you think about it because for me, I'm so the story in and of itself is crazy. If you remember, this happened back in um damn, when did this happen? 2019, early 2019. So he goes out to get a Subway sandwich at 2 something in the morning and says two white guys beat him up, said this is MAGA country, and put a noose around his neck and all of that. So, eventually it came out where these two brothers, two guys, two Nigerian guys that Jussie Smollett knows, who worked on the set of Empire. I didn't know that they worked on the set of Empire actually until I watched this documentary. But these two are the Ascendero. These are the Ascendero brothers. The Ascendero brothers. And they came out later, two brothers who came out later and said that Jussie had paid them to set up this whole thing. And I'm always calling this guy Jussie. His name is actually Jussie Smollett, not Jesse, Jussie Smollett. But let me play this trailer if you haven't seen it.
January 29th, 2019, police were called to an incident. They see an actor called Jussie Smollett with a noose around his neck. He says that he was the victim of a hate crime.
To think that I had two white guys attack a black man in this city was disgusting to me.
This was a racially motivated incident involving a celebrity. I knew this was going to be huge.
You could not turn on the TV. You could not turn on the radio. It literally was everywhere.
I thought it was a horrible crime at first, until it started to fall apart.
Jussie was still being treated as the victim, but the narrative out there was shifting.
Some things kind of struck me as a little odd.
It does not fit with Jussie's account of what occurred.
We were going through the polar vortex at the time. Who is out in the street with it being cold out there?
The fact that they weren't buying his story was like, wow.
Time is ticking and the pressure's on to get to the bottom of what's going on.
We saw that they had actually identified who these guys were. I was like, we got this dude now.
The twists and turns of it are really jaw-dropping.
I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of one drop of what I've been accused of.
Most people don't really know the truth and what the actual evidence in the case was.
Evidence from the scene shows that there were white men there.
Could it be possible that Jussie Smollett is actually innocent?
What kind of bizarro world are they living in?
I don't want to say it's suspicious. It seems sensational.
I'm innocent!
Chicago police has a century-long history of lying to the public.
It's just creating a distraction.
What the is going on?
The biggest question is, who really can we trust?
Jussie Smollett. All right, so Jussie Smollett, right? Jussie. So here's the thing. So I watched this documentary and I was so intrigued to see like what was the angle. So the angle of the documentary, in my opinion, was that it was kind of going over the story of what happened, kind of going over how the police, figured out that, Jussie was telling a lie, and made this up. They kind of went through the evidence. Then the documentary towards the end, the two investigative reporters towards the end, I think they were involved in producing the documentary to create a level of doubt whether, or to bring up a level of doubt whether Jussie actually did it, right? And keep calling him Jussie. It's so funny. Jussie. I'm just calling him Jesse. The Jesse works for me. Every time I say Jussie, it makes me laugh. So, all right. So here's the thing. I go through the documentary. I think it's really interesting. First of all, I'm from Chi-Town, right? I'm from Chicago. He went out in January in the middle of a polar vortex, cold as hell. If you ever have lived through Illinois winter, you know what time it is. It ain't regular cold. It's different. It's cold. So he went out for a Subway sandwich. He says that's what he does. In the documentary, he talked about that the fact that he does go out a lot at night because he had been into drug use, and that's something he would typically do is go out at nighttime. So that's one thing he did say in the documentary. Now, the police, when they go through, and of course, if you haven't seen the documentary, it's nothing there's no breakthrough information because this all happened before, but they kind of go through the whole case. So he goes out, supposedly gets beat up by these two white dudes, go back, they show the footage of the police going to the apartment after the police were called, by I think his creative director or something. And the police have the body cam footage, and Jussie has the noose still around his neck inside the apartment. So it was kind of weird because I'm like, if I got beat up as a black man, if I got beat up and some guys put a noose around my neck, I'm not walking back to the apartment with a noose around my neck. I'm taking the noose off immediately. Immediately. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like he did get beat up, but he himself said he fought back. So I'm fighting back, and the dude put a noose around my neck. I'm going to walk all the way back with my Subway sandwich. And again, his Subway sandwich in the footage, when it shows him walking into his condominium, the Subway sandwich bag is looking pristine. So that foot long sandwich must have survived the scuffle and the snow and the ice and all that, but the bag looked pristine in the footage. So, but anyway, he keeps the noose on his neck in the apartment, and he takes it off once the police come, just to tell them, look, I wanted y'all to see, what it was and how it was on me. I didn't want to take it off until you guys got here, which was strange to me. So, and even the Chicago police chief said that as well. So fast forward about a couple of days later, they start piecing all this footage together, and it shows that the I keep forgetting the last name of these guys. I keep saying their last name wrong. What is it? The Asindero brothers, the Nigerian brothers. The police went through the footage, and they were able to piece through footage of these two figures. Keep in mind, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning in Chicago, in the middle of a polar vortex. When it's that cold outside, we're talking about, I don't know, 30, 40 degrees below zero or something. Man, ain't nobody coming outside. So it wasn't hard to see that there's only a few people outside. So they had footage of these two figures in many different places. And then they were able to trace it to a ride share that went to the north side of Chicago. And the ride share had got transferred from a taxi. So anyway, they go through the records. They're able to find out, that's how they got these two Nigerian guys. The two Nigerian guys fly to Nigeria the next day. Eventually, they come back a couple of weeks later, and the police arrest them. So when they arrest them, eventually, after a day or so, they admit that Jussie, he had admitted he had paid them to beat him up and stage this whole thing. So I thought this was crazy because with that evidence, eventually the brothers got off, and they charged Jussie Smollett. And Jussie Smollett went to county jail for a while. I forgot his exact sentence, but he didn't do all of his sentence. I don't know if he did a few months in jail or whatever, but he didn't do that much time. Eventually, he got out. But the point of it is that it's interesting because now he's still claiming that some white guys beat him up. So in the documentary, what's interesting is that the documentary makers are casting doubt on whether Jussie Smollett was guilty of making this up. So they go get the same footage the police have seen, and most of the footage doesn't show the face because they had on masks. There's one piece of footage that had an image where you could see one of the people, let's say one of the two guys. And the documentary makers are like, well, this guy is white, because Jussie claimed that the guys were white. That was the whole issue. Jussie claimed that the guys had on masks, but he could see that they were white. And the Asandero brothers are obviously black, dark skinned black, Nigerian brothers. So the whole thing is like, okay, if Jussie really saw somebody that was white, then that would mean that this incident really happened. And then some guys really beat him up and said, this is MAGA country, faggot, and all this stuff. So I don't believe that Jussie is telling the truth. I think he's still lying all these years, and I think he wants to rebuild his image. And I think this documentary, here's the thing about time. With time, you can change anything. With time, you can rechange imagery. Even if there's evidence in something, with time, people forget, right? Even recently, like I think last year, they came out with a Scott Peterson documentary, and the whole documentary went over the case. And Scott Peterson's case was always circumstantial, but they went through that case, and the documentary makers for that one cast a lot of doubt on Scott Peterson's conviction. So, but Jussie Smollett, here's the thing. Then this is the whole point of why I'm even talking about this. The difference is that like I said, I could not stop pausing this video and talking. So, because my wife was like, well, just let it keep playing. I'm like, yo, why would this happen? Why would that happen? Here's the thing.